Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. Feliz martes, feliz terça-feira. So today is squat day. And I did my squats. And for an accessory, I'm gonna do some curls in the squat rack, just for fun. Get a little bit of bicep growth, make sure that these guns are ready for the beach. Nice day out today, got almost up to 80. It's pretty cool. Not pretty cool, pretty warm. But it felt nice to be outside without like jackets on and all that kind of stuff. So squats, body weight stuff, did 3 sets of 10 there. That kind of helps get that knee going. Worked up, pretty slowly, 95, 135, and then 185 for 10 sets of 5. Everything's fast, light, and easy. Good. Gonna keep these curls pretty light too. Just do some sets of 10, probably small increments, and I get like 50 or so in and be done. Life stuff, right? Kind of down yesterday, talking about trying to, this thing I've been working on for a year and a half kind of fell through. Got the smack in the face email with no real explanation, which, that makes it even worse, in my opinion, which I'll get to in a second. So what did I do today? Well, I got into work. Did the one thing I need to do, which I'll get to in a minute, which was a research proposal review panel. And then I went back to my own office and started doing my own research, but this time it was, hey, what are the opportunities that I have that I can pivot to? And so I found some good ones. And so I talked to the person I've been talking with, started the game plan. He's on board already. Gave him a test plan, gonna start lining stuff up again. I mean, why not hit while it's fresh on my mind? Instead of just, sitting there rolling around in my depression, because I'm still kind of, I'm down about it. But, man, I got to get up and I got to, like I said, you got to pick yourself up and just keep moving. And like I said, sometimes it's best to strike when, a first impact kind of thing. You get that first hit and you just need to react. And you got to start game planning and moving forward right then and there, because I think sometimes if you don't, that inertia becomes a problem. You just kind of sit and wallow, and it's tough to get things going again. In this case, took that blow, kind of deflected it. I'm going to try and move on. So getting back to that research review board panel thing that I did this morning, right? This group of folks, right? We sit here and we listen to these proposals and we rate them, and basically give a thumbs up or thumbs down on whether or not we think that this is research that we should do. And almost every time I see a proposal, I'm like, man, there's a good nugget there, but the person's just kind of missing it. So like some of the people on the board were kind of just down on everyone, like, it just sounds like they're, only doing what they want to do, or they're just doing what they did their PhD in, and I don't see what their, what their end game is. I'm like, yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, but, if you're a fiddle player and you got to play in a band, you're going to play the fiddle, It's what you know until you learn otherwise. So sometimes when you're in an institution like mine and you got interesting research, but doesn't quite fit in, someone's got to come along with some tools and help your piece of the puzzle kind of fit in. And so that's one of the things I've done is, okay, this wasn't the best proposal, or it doesn't quite align with what we need to do. So it's like, what kind of feedback can we give, right? So that's kind of what I do. I write like, hey, let's talk about what you should be doing. Let's get you some actual constructive feedback. Like, let's get you information that you can turn around and make a new proposal like immediately. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to get funded immediately. They might have to wait until the next call comes along. It could be a while, but at least they'll be ready to go. And sometimes they need that insight, right? And you're out there, you're helping people pick themselves up and move on, because you got to say no sometimes. I mean, I got told no yesterday. Sucked. These people are going to get told no too, and it's going to suck for them. But you got to also say, hey, it's not no because you're wrong, or no because we don't like you, It's just no, because it doesn't quite fit. And so in the case of just providing a vacuum, which is what I got, it's like, hey, what is it we could do to kind of remake that proposal that you put out there so that it lines up with what we really need to do? And a lot of times it's not that hard. Sometimes it's just words or coming up with an application that might happen. And that's enough. Sometimes it takes a lot more planning. You know, what are the measurements you got to make? What are the data that you've got to obtain? You know, how are you going to process that data? What's that going to inform? Are you going to build a database? You're going to build a model? What are you going to do with that kind of stuff? So anyhow, just me going on, kind of me mentally recovering from, you know, the setback I had yesterday, imparting upon all of you, all 12, 13 of you, maybe, that, hey, you know, you got to pick yourself up. You got to keep going. But on the flip side of that coin, sometimes you're going to have to say no to people, but you got to do them the honest service of saying, hey, this is why you got to know. And by the way, let me help you get to a yes. Just like when we're out here in the gym, right? We know that we go to a good gym when we're out there and, you know, we're working out. And I've been in those environments where people are there to help you. Hey, you know, let me spot you. You know, hey, you know, you might want to. And sometimes it's not the greatest advice, but they're there trying to impart upon you maybe some useful kernel of knowledge that they picked up along the way. In a lot of cases, it's well-intentioned. Sometimes it's not the best, but in the end, they're out there doing it. And you can't really dig on people too much if they're coming up to you and saying something. But, you know, again, it's with a grain of salt. But in a lot of cases, I do think that, you know, if you get to a good gym, and if you've been to a good gym, you know you've been to a good gym, you're in an environment where there's a lot of positive feedback in terms of, hey, you know, and you might hear like, hey man, your squat sucks, but this is what you need to do. Again, that's positive feedback. You're learning something. You're improving something. You know, hey, you know, you might want to tuck your elbows when you bench a little bit more, blah, blah, blah. That's the kind of stuff you need. Let's get you to the next stage. Let's get you to a yes. Let's get you to improve, right? So that's kind of what, you know, that's what community is for, right? And so, you know, you go to a good gym because you got good community, right? You go to, you know, whatever church or community center, right? Because you're hoping that you get that kind of positive feedback loop. And at work, something I try and do, it's not as common as you think it should be. Create a positive feedback loop. Hey, you got a good idea, but we need to work on it. Got good stuff. Let's make it better. Let's line it up so that, you know, we can get it through the wickets. All right, so that's enough of my philosophy for today. All I'm telling you is I am doing what I said that we should do. Sucked it up, picked myself up, dust myself off, start all over again, to quote Frank Sinatra. But anyhow, man, it's what you got to do sometimes. All right, so hope everyone's having a great day so far. Hope your week is off to a good start. Happy Tuesday. Feliz martes. Feliz terça-feira. Espero que você tenha ótimo dia. Hope you have a great day. And until next time, get into those gyms, hit those goals, and get swole. Peace.